Okay, so now we move on to installing our own block explorer. We'll be using a block explorer by the name of btc-rpc-explorer. It is found on this particular GitHub repository that I'm about to open up. And we'll just go through the instructions as they're presented. So github.com/genocide/btc-rpc-explorer. Okay. Now, if we keep scrolling through, we will get to the prerequisites and then the installation instructions. Okay. So the first prerequisite is that we need to install and run a full archiving node, which we have done, and ensure that your Bitcoin node has full transaction indexing enabled, that being TX index equals 1 and RPC server enabled server equals 1. So we have already done that, but just in case you missed it, the way that you would do that is if you go into your Bitcoin folder, so cd.bitcoin, or your data directory is what it's called, then there should be a file called bitcoin.conf. Okay, and you're going to edit that. So nano bitcoin.conf, and it should have tx index equals 1 and server equals 1. Okay, and we'll just close out of that with Control X. Now, that will take some time. If you haven't already done it, that will take some time to index through, maybe a couple of hours or so. So just make sure that that is complete. And the way that you would check that that is complete is going through into your directory, into your Bitcoin directory, and you can look that up in your debug log. So you can open this up and it will say how far along the progression of the TX indexing it has done. And so you can sort of pick out where it is. Now, this one in particular was done a while ago, but you can see, I think there is something here where it says TX is enabled at height. So now, once you see this type of line item there, that means it's finished. So just wait until that whole thing finishes and then install this. So that's the first prerequisite that we need to fulfill. So that's done. And then synchronize your node with the Bitcoin network. So that means Bitcoin CLI get blockchain info, and just make sure that we are actually up to date. So there's the blocks, there's the headers. That's just one out, but I assume that that will solve itself shortly. So that's now up to date. And then we also need to install a recent version of Node.js. So 8+ is recommended. Now, there's a couple of instructions on how to install Node.js. So the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to go back into this folder, into my home directory. Now, I'm going to use a tutorial that I have found useful. It's the DigitalOcean install Node.js Ubuntu 18.04. Okay, and it's this instruction set here. So we go down into the installing using Ppa. So we're going to need to do this and go through the instructions here based on a script that they've written up for us. So the way that we would do that is, firstly, we need to install curl because that is not known to us yet. So let's get that. So we go sudo apt-get install curl and the password. Yes. And then the other thing that I want to do to avoid any sort of errors coming up is also install Git. Git is the GitHub repository that you can interact with your command line. So we'll just install that as well. So sudo apt-get install git. And yes. Okay, so now those packages are now installed. The other thing that we want to do is just make sure that we're in the home directory. So we'll just go into that. So cd home directory, and then we will download this script here. So we'll copy this and we'll paste that there. Okay, so that's now downloaded it, so we can see that as the node source setup.sh, and we will run that using this command here. So we'll just copy that and paste it through. Okay. So now what we want to do is just install Node.js. So sudo apt install Node.js. So we will install that and click yes. Okay, now to check which version of Node.js you have installed, type this. So let's just do that. So it's coming in with version 10.18.0. And we'll also use this npm as well. So we'll copy that and paste that. And it's 6.13.4. Okay, and in order for some npm packages to work, you will need to install build essential package. So let's do that as well. So copy that and paste that through. Yes. Okay, so now we have that Node.js installed. Just to check where it is, so we'll just go where is npm, and it's in usr bin npm. Okay, cool. Where is Node.js, and it's in usr bin Node.js as well. So that's now been installed. Excellent. Now what we want to do is follow the instructions. So we've met all the prerequisites. So let's just go back to the blockchain info just to make sure that we're there. Doesn't look like it's downloading. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now for some reason that wasn't downloading. I just restarted Bitcoin and just made sure that it actually is working. So now I know that I'm fine there. Now we can just follow the instructions that were listed on the GitHub repository because we've now completed all of these prerequisites and we're happy with it. So now it's just a matter of following these instructions here. Now the only difference is that I'm going to do this not with npm, I'm just going to put a sudo in front of it. So I'm going to run this as a root because of permission errors that I see happening. So we're going to do that. So install that. Okay, so it says here btc-rpc-explorer added packages. So that looks good. I wouldn't worry too much about all of these errors that are happening up the top here. I think we are good, because if we type in where is btc-rpc-explorer, we've got USR bin btc-rpc-explorer. So the next thing to do is to just run it. Now, the reason that we're able to just run it is because we've got the btc-rpc-explorer, our Bitcoin data directory in the default directory of Bitcoin, and our cookie file is there. Okay, so that's if that changes, I'll show you how to reconfigure this such that if we want to change that, then we can change that as well. So at the moment though, let's just do btc-rpc-explorer. Okay, and it will say loading the cookie file, and it looks like it's connected. Alright, so now what we can do is go into our computer, our Firefox, and type in localhost 3002. And that gives us a nice interface here. Okay, so we can explore around and see how we go, but the next thing that we need to do is really press on to see. This is just to kind of just check that it works, which it does. So that's fantastic. So what we can do is just click Control C, or not click, but enter Control C, and that will get out of it. So then once that happens, if I was to refresh this page, it won't be able to connect because I've closed down that terminal command. Okay. So that is basically how we install it, and I'll show a little bit more on and explain btc-rpc-explorer and some of the functionalities a bit later. But for now, let's move on to creating a service file such that when our computer starts up, we have Bitcoin starting up, and then we have the block explorer also starting up on startup. Let's do some other configurations as well before we do that, actually. So some of the other configurations that we can do are listed in the GitHub repository. So you can see here that you want to create an environment file in this particular document, and that's what you want sort of, I guess, to use. The way that you can do that is if you can see the sample file here, so we'll download that, and we're going to raw. And what we want to do is download that into our config directory. So cd.config, okay, wget, and copy and paste this there, and you'll see that we have this. Where is it? This env sample, because it's hidden. It's .env sample. What we want to do is rename it to what was previously told to us, which is .config btc-rpc-explorer.env. So the thing with Linux is in the command line, we can't really rename things. There's no functionality for that, so we just move things. So we're just going to go mv for move, the environment file, and we're going to name it btc-rpc-explorer.env. Okay, and so now when I look at this, I've got a btc-rpc-explorer in environment file. We're then going to edit that file, so nano btc-rpc-explorer.env, and we can see here all the functions that we want to use. So as I earlier mentioned, if you want to change that cookie path, you can change it there. So if it's somewhere else, not sitting in the default directory, then you just remove the comment, and then now that becomes active. So what I would do is I'd put, for me, it's just home catan.bitcoin .cookie. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is if we wanted to access this particular the block explorer on any of our computers, rather than just this computer, then we'd need to change this line here. So that needs to go to active, and then 0 and 0. Okay, so that any IP address can now access our Block Explorer. It's not just limited to the machine that we're using or the machine that we're on. So those are the two things that we need to change here. Okay, so now we can Control X that, and we can say, yes, I want that saved, and we'll write it to the file name, enter. Okay, so now when we start up btc-rpc-explorer, you can notice here it loads up the environment file, and then it loads up the cookie file as well. So now when we want to access localhost 3002, it's there for us. Okay. Now, if we also wanted to, say for example, we had a phone that we want to access this on, or if we wanted some sort of other device, how would we be able to access it now? So what we need to do is figure out what the IP address of this particular machine is. And so you can do that through your network settings. So if you go into settings here, go into the network, and then click on this little cog here, you can see the IP address. So 192.168.2.31. Okay, so if I was to get out of this virtual machine entirely and go into Firefox on my another Linux machine, 168.31/3002, I'm able to access this particular Block Explorer on any machine that is connected to my network. So that is useful if you need it. Okay, so we'll close out of that and go back into our virtual machine. Cancel, we can remove all that. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll close that off, and we'll create a service file for this. Now the guys over at BitEmbassy are the ones that created this service file that I'm using. So I'm going to go to github.com/ I think it's BitEmbassy/ let me have a look here, home-node. Okay, I'm going to go into the init file, and here we have btc-rpc-explorer service. Okay, and we're going to take this raw file, and we are going to get this and use it. So we want to do that in the cd etc systemd system folder, and we're going to go sudo wget, because we're not in our home directory, we're in another directory that forms part of root. So sudo wget, and we will take this file and we'll paste it. Okay, so now we have a service file in this directory called btc-rpc-explorer.service. Okay, and now we're going to edit it to our specific needs. So sudo nano btc-rpc-explorer.service, and we are saying basically we want this to start after Bitcoin D service, and it requires Bitcoin D service. Now the environment file will take, I don't know why that dash is there, but we'll remove that. It's home katan.config/btc-rpc-explorer.env. Okay, so that's the environment file that we need to edit. And then the executive start. So what start is, so remember when we went back to, we'll just open up a new tab, go where is btc-rpc-explorer, and it's in usr bin btc-rpc-explorer. So that's where we're going to do that. So usr bin btc-rpc-explorer, and the user is not Satoshi, it's me. Okay, and we'll take through, and I think I'm okay with all of the other line items that are presented here. So we'll Control X, we'll save that. Okay, So now we have a service file that we're happy with. So we will enable it, sudo systemctl enable btc-rpc-explorer.service. So that's been enabled. Okay, and we just make sure that we've shut down btc-rpc-explorer. It's not opened. So we will then now start this. Okay, so now let's have a look at the status of btc-rpc-explorer, and it looks pretty good. Okay, it looks like it's all started up, it's green, it looks good. Okay, we'll just Control C out of that, and we will visit this here. So now we have a fully functioning block explorer. So what do we want to achieve out of having our own block explorer? Well, there's a couple of things that we can benefit from. First of all, we can have a nice graphical interface of our node at any point in time. Gives us a lot more information than the command line, and this is where we can sort of start to explore more around all the transactions that are on Bitcoin. So say, for example, we want to go into this particular block here. We can have a look at the transactions that were in there, and then we can sort of explore more around particular transactions, where they went, how it went. Okay. The other thing that it's got is the peer information. So who you're connected to, their IP addresses, and so forth. And it's just helpful to see who you're connected to and all those sorts of things as well. Okay. It'll show you the node status, so how big the blockchain size is, 289 gigs, what version you're running, the block count at the moment, as well as your uptime, how much you're downloading, how much you're uploading. Okay, so those are all just specific, stats that you might want out of your own node. Okay. The other cool thing is the memory pool summary. Okay, so what this is essentially where the fees stand as of now. So you can see the number of transactions that are still been waiting to be, I guess, confirmed. The transactions are only 47 transactions at the moment. And essentially, this is where you would find which fee suits your particular needs. So if you want to pay, and sort of who you're competing with. So if you want to pay the 15 to 20 sats per byte, then you're competing with 12 other transactions there. Now you can put it in 1 sat per byte as well, and that will go through. It just shows you how busy the network is and what people are doing and what fees other people are paying, so that you can compete with them, depending on how quickly you want your transaction confirmed. Okay. The other cool thing with the BTC Block Explorer is the Bitcoin Fun. Now, you can see here that there's some cool things that have happened in the past. For example, the Bitcoin pizza transaction, which you can check out. The other one is the actual Genesis block itself, so you can have a look through that. Now, the cool thing about the Genesis block is if you click through here, it will show you the transaction, as well as the decoded message from Satoshi. The Times, 3 January 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. That's a historic moment, and it happened on 3rd of January 2009, which is 10 years, 11 months, 18 days ago. So that's something that you can sort of look through as well. And then if you keep going to Bitcoin Fun, you can do the pizza transaction that was worth 10,000 BTC. So I'm expecting to see that in through there, and what date it happened, and so on and so forth. Okay, so yeah, so you'll see here that I think his name was Laszlo. He combined all of these UTXOs, and he spit out a 10,000 BTC for a pizza. Whew, okay. And that happened, 22nd of the 5th, 2010. Okay. So that's what a block explorer can enable you to do. So have fun with that. And yeah, that's basically